Book 11, The Kingdom of the Dead. Now down we came to the ship at the water's edge. We hauled and launched her into the sunlit breakers first. Stepped the mast in the black craft and set our sail and loaded the sheep aboard, and the ram and the ewe, and then we ourselves embarked, streaming tears. Our hearts weighed down with anguish. But Circe, the awesome nymph with lovely braids, who speaks with human voice, sent us a hearty shipmate. Yes, a fresh following wind ruffling up in our wake, belling out our sail and drive our blue prow as on we scurrying in running gear from stem to stern. Sat back while the wind and helmsman kept her true on course. The sail stretched taut as we cut the sea all day, and the sun sank and the roads of the world grew dark. And she made the outer limits, the ocean river's bounds, where Cimmerian people have their homes, their realm and city shrouded in mist and cloud. The eye of the sun can never flash his rays through the dark and bring them light, not when he climbs the starry skies, or when he wheels back down to the heights to touch the earth once more. An endless, deadly night overhangs these wretched men. There, gaining the point, we breached our craft, and herding out the sheep, we picked up our way by the ocean's banks until we gained the place that Circe made our goal. Here at the spot, Perimedes and Eurylochus held the victims last, and I, drawing my sharp sword from beside my hip, dug a trench of our forearm's depth and length, and around it poured libations out for all the dead, first with milk and honey, and then with mellow wine, then water third and last, and sprinkled glistening barley over it all. And time and again I vowed to all the dead, to the drifting, listless spirits of their ghosts, that once I returned to Ithaca I would slaughter a barren heifer in the halls, and best I had, and load a pyre with treasures, and to Tiresias alone, apart, I would offer a sleek black ram, the pride of all my herds. And once my vows and prayers had invoked the nations of the dead, I took the victims over the trench I cut their throats, and the dark blood flowed in, and up out of Eurybus they came, flocking toward me now, the ghosts of the dead and gone, brides and unwed youths and old men who had suffered much, and girls with their tender hearts freshly scarred by sorrow, and great armies of battle dead, stabbed by bronze spears, men of war, still wrapped in bloody armor, thousands swarming around the trench from every side, unearthly cries, blanching terror, and they gripped me. I ordered the men at once to flay the sheep, and lay before us, killed by my ruthless blade, and burn them both, and then say prayers to the gods, to the almighty god of death and dread Persephone. But I, the sharp sword drawn from beside my hip, sat down on alert there, and never let the ghosts of the shambling, shiftless dead come near that blood, till I had questioned Tiresias myself. But first, the ghost of Elpenor, my companion, came toward me. He had not been buried under the wide ways of earth, not yet. We'd led his body at Circe's house. Unwept, unburied, this other labor pressed us. But I wept to see him now. Pity touched my heart. I called out a winged word to him there. Elpenor, how did you travel down to the world of darkness? Faster on foot, I see, than I in my black ship. My comrade groaned as he offered me an answer. Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, old companion, the doom of an angry god, and God knows how much wine. They were my ruin, captain. I'd bedded down on the roof of Circe's house, but never thought to climb back down again by the long ladder. Head first from the roof I plunged. My neck snapped. From the backbone, my soul flew down to death. Now I beg you, by those you left behind, so far from here, your wife, your father, who bred and reared you as a boy, and Telemachus, left at home in your halls, your only son. Well, I know when you leave this lodging of the dead that you and your ship will put ashore again on the island of Aiaia. Then and there, my lord, remember me. I beg you, don't sail off and desert me, left behind unwept, unburied. Don't, or my curse may draw God's fury on your head. No, burn me in full armor. All of my harness heap my mound by the churning gray surf, a man whose luck has run out. So even men to come will learn my story. Perform my rites, and plant on my tomb that oar I swung with mates, that I rode among the living. All this, my unlucky friend, I reassured him, I will do for you. I won't forget a thing. So we sat and faced each other, trading our bleak parting words, I on my side, holding my sword above the blood, he across from me there, my comrade phantom, dragging out his story. But look, the ghost of my mother came. My mother, dead and gone now, Anticlea. daughter of the great heart Autolycus, whom I had left alive when I sailed for sacred Troy. I had broken into tears to see her here, but filled with pity, even throbbing with grief, I would not let her ghost approach the blood till I had questioned Tiresias myself. At last he came, the shade of the famous Theban prophet, holding a golden scepter, knew me at once and hailed me. Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, master of exploits, man of pain, what now? What bring you here, forsaking the light of day, to see the joyless kingdom of the dead? Stand back from that trench, put up your sharp sword, so I can drink the blood and tell you all the truth. Moving back, I thrust my silver-studded sword deep into its sheath, and once he had drunk the dark blood, the words came ringing from the prophet in his power. A sweet, smooth journey home, renowned Odysseus, that is what you seek. But a god will make it hard for you, I know. You will never escape the one who shakes the earth, quaking with anger at you still enraged, because you blinded the Cyclops, his dear son. Even so, you and your crew may still reach home, suffering all the way, if only have the power to curb that wild desire and curb your own. What's more, from the day your good trim vessel puts in to Thrinacia Island, flees the cruel Brucea. There you will find them grazing, herds of fat flocks, and cattle of Helios, god of the sun, who sees all, hears all things. Leave the beasts unharmed, your mind set on home, and you all may still reach Ithaca, bent with hardship, true, but harm them in any way, and I can see it now. Your ship will be destroyed, your men destroyed as well. And even if you escape, you'll come home last, and come a broken man, all shipmates lost, alone in a stranger's ship. And you will find a world of pain at home, crude, arrogant men devouring all your goods, courting your noble wife, offering gifts to win her. No doubt, you will pay them back in blood when you come home. But once you have killed those suitors in your halls, by stealth or in open fight with slashing bronze, go forth once more you must. Carry your well-planed oar until you come to a race of people who know nothing of the sea, whose food is never seasoned with salt, strangers all to ships with their crimson prows and long slim oars, wings that make ships fly. And here's your sign, unmistakable, clear, so clear that you cannot miss it. When another traveler falls in with you and calls that weight across your shoulder a fan of winnow grain, then plant your bladed, balanced oar in the earth, and sacrifice fine beasts to the Lord God of the sea, Poseidon, a ram, a bull, a ramping wild boar. Then journey home, and render noble offerings up to the deathless gods who rule the vaulting skies, to all the gods in order. And at last your own death will steal upon you, a gentle, painless death. Far from the sea it comes, and it take you down, borne down with years of ripe old age, with all the people there in blessed peace around you. All that I have told you will come true. Oh, Tiresias, I replied as the prophet finished. Surely the gods have spun this out as fate, the gods themselves. But tell me one thing more, and tell me clearly. I see the ghost of my long-lost mother here before me, dead, crouching close to the blood in silence. She cannot bear to look at me in the eyes, her own son, or speak a word to me. How, Lord, can I make her know me for the man that I am? One rule there is, the famous seer explained, and simple for me to say and you to learn. Any one of the ghosts you let approach the blood will speak the truth to you. Anyone you refuse will turn and fade away. And with those words, now that his prophecies had closed, the awesome shade of Lord Tiresias strode back to the house of death. But I kept watch there, steadfast till my mother approached and drank the dark, clouding blood. She knew me at once, and wailed out in grief, and her words came winging toward me, flying home. Oh, my son, what brings you down to the world of death and darkness? You're still alive. It's hard for the living to catch a glimpse of this. Great rivers flow between us, terrible waters, the ocean first of all. No one could ever ford that stream on foot, only aboard some sturdy craft. Have you just come from Troy, wandering long years with your men and ship? Not yet returned to Ithaca? You've still not seen your wife inside the halls? Mother, I replied, I had to venture down to the house of death, to consult the shade of Tiresias, seer of Thebes. Never yet have I neared Achaia, never once set a foot on native ground, always wandering. Endless hardship from that day I first set sail with King Agamemnon bound for Troy. the stallion land to fight the Trojans there. But tell me about yourself, and spare me nothing. What form of death came upon you? What laid you low? Some long, slow illness? Or did Artemis showering arrows come with her painless shafts and bring you down? Tell me of father. Tell me of the son I left behind. Do my royal rights still lie in their safekeeping? Or does some stranger hold the throne by now? Because men think that I'll come home no more? Please, tell me about my wife. Her turn of mind, her thoughts, still standing fast beside her son, still guarding our great estates, secure as ever now? Or has she wed some other countryman at last, the finest prince among them? Surely, surely, my noble mother answered quickly. She's still waiting there in your halls, poor woman, suffering so. Her life is an endless hardship like your own, wasting away the nights, weeping away the days. No one has taken over your royal rights, not yet. Telemachus still holds your great estates in peace. He attends the public banquets shared with all. The feasts a man of justice should enjoy, for every lord invites him. As for your father, he keeps his own farm. He never goes to town, with no bed for him there, no blankets, glossy throws. All winter long he sleeps in the lodge with servants, in the ashes by the fire, his body wrapped in rags. But when summer comes and the bumper crops of harvest any spot on the rising ground in his vineyard yards, he makes his bed, heaped high with fallen leaves, and there he lies in anguish, with his old age bearing hard upon him too, and his grief grows as he longs for your return. And I, with the same grief, I died and met my fate. No sharp-eyed huntress showering arrows through the halls approached and brought me down with painless shafts, nor did some hateful illness strike me, that so often devastates the body, drains our limbs of power. No, it was my longing for you, my shining Odysseus, you and your quickness, you and your gentle ways, that tore away my life, that had been so sweet. And I, my mind in turmoil, how I longed to embrace my mother's spirit, dead as she was. 3 times I rushed toward her, desperate to hold her. 3 times she fluttered through my fingers, sifting away like a shadow, dissolving like a dream, and each time the grief cut to my heart, sharper, yes, and I cried out to her, words winging into the darkness, Mother, why not wait for me? How I long to hold you. So even here in the house of death, we can fling our loving arms around each other, take some joy in the tears that numb the heart. Or is it this just some wraith that great Persephone sends my way to make me ache with sorrow all the more? My noble mother answered me at once. My son, the unluckiest man alive. There is no deception sent by Queen Persephone. This is just the way of mortals when we die. Sinews no longer bind the flesh and bones together. The fire in all its fury burns the body down to ashes. Once life slips from the white bones and the spirit rustling flitters away, flown like a dream. But you must long for the daylight. Go quickly. Remember all these things, so one day you can tell them to your wife. And so we both confided, trading parting words, and there slowly came a grand array of women, all sent before me now by august Persephone. And all were wives and daughters once of princes. They swarmed in a flock around the dark blood, while I searched for a way to question each alone. And the more I thought, and the more this seemed to be the best. Drawing forth a long sharp sword from beside my hip, I would not let them drink the dark blood, all in a rush, and so they waited, coming forward one after another. Each declared her lineage, and I explored them all. And the first I saw there, Tyro, born of kings, who said her father was the great lord Salmoneus, said that she was the wife of Cretheus, Aeolus' son, and once she fell in love with the river god Enipeus, far from the clearest river flowing across the earth. And so she'd haunt Enipeus' glinting streams, till taking his shape one day, the god who girds the earth and makes it tremble, bedded her where the swirling river rushes out to the sea. And a surging wave reared up, high as the mountain dark, arching over to hide the god and mortal girl together. Loosing her virgin belt, he lapped her round in sleep. And when the god had consummated his work of love, he took her by the hand and hailed her warmly. Rejoice in our love, my lady, and when this year had run its course, you will give birth to glorious children. Bedding down with the gods is never barren, fertile, and you must tend them, breed and rear them well. Now home you go, and restrain yourself. I say never breathe your lover's name, but no, I am Poseidon, god who rocks the earth. With that, he drove back into the heaving waves, and she conceived for the god and bore him Peleus, Neleus, and both grew up to be stalwart aides to Zeus Almighty, both men alike. Peleus lived on the plains of Elocus, rich in sheep flocks. Neleus lived in sandy Pylos, and the noble queen bore sons, Cretheus too, Aeson, Phaedus, Amathaean, exultant Charioteer. And after Tyro, I saw Asopus' daughter, Antiope. Proud she spent a night in the arms of Zeus himself, and born the god twins, Amphion and Zethius, the first to build the footings of the seven-gated Thebes, her bastions too, for lacking ramparts none could live in a place so vast, so open, strong as both men were. And I saw Alcmena next, Amphitrion's wife, who slept with the class of Zeus and merged in love, and brought forth Heracles, rugged will and lion heart. And I saw Megara there too, magnanimous Creon's daughter, wed to the stalwart Heracles, the hero never daunted. And I saw the mother of Oedipus, beautiful Epicaste. And with a monstrous thing she did, in all innocence, she married her own son, who'd killed his father. Then he married her. But the gods soon made it known to all mankind, so he is in growing pain ruled in the beloved Thebes, lording Cadmus' people, thinking the gods' brutal plan, while she went down to death, who guards the massive gates. Lashing a noose to a steep rafter, there she hangs aloft, strangling in her own anguish, leaving her son to bear the world a horror a mother's furies brings to life. And I saw the magnificent Clorius, the one whom Neleus wooed and won with a hoard of splendid gifts. So dazzled by her beauty years ago, the youngest daughter of Isaeus' son Amphion, the great Maiaean king who ruled Achaemenus once, she was the queen of Pylos. She bore him shining sons, Nestor and Chromius, Periclymenus too, good prince. But after her sons she bore a daughter, majestic Pero, the marvel of her time, courted by all the young lords around about. But Neleus would never give her to any suitor, none but the man who would drive home the herds that powerful Iphiclus had stolen. Lurching broad to the brow, those long-horned beasts, and no small task to round them up from Phaeacians. Only the valiant seer Melapius volunteered, but he would drive them home. But a god-iron sentence bound him fast. Barbarous herdsmen dragged him off in chains. Yet when the months and days had run their course, and the year wheeled around and the seasons came again, then mighty Iphiclus loosed the prophet's shackles. Once he had told them all the gods' decrees, and so the will of Zeus was done at last. And I saw Leda next, Tynardarius' wife, who'd borne the king two sons, intrepid twins, Castor, breaker of horses, and the hardy boxer Polydeuces, both buried now in the life-giving earth, though still alive. Even on the earth Zeus grants them that distinction. One day alive, the next day dead, each twin by turns, they both hold honors equal to the gods. And I saw Ephemedea next, Ilios' wife, who claims she laid the sea lord's loving waves, and gave the gods two sons. But they did not live long. Otis, staunch as a god, and far-famed Ephialtes. They were the tallest men the fertile earth had borne, the handsomest too, by far, aside from the renowned Orion. 9 yards across they measured, even at 9 years old. 9 fathoms tall they towered. They were even threatened the deathless gods they'd storm Olympus' heights, with the pounding rush and grinding shock of battle. They were wild to pile Ossa upon Olympus, then on Ossa Pelion dense with timber, with tie holds up to the heavens. And they had won the day, and they had reached the peak's drink. But Apollo, the son of Zeus, who sleek-haired Leto born, laid both giants low before their beards had sprouted, covering cheek and chin with a fresh crop of down. Phaedra and Procrus I saw too, the lovely Ariadne, daughter of Minos, that harsh king. One day Theseus tried to spirit her off from Crete to Athens' sacred hearts, but he got no joy from her. Artemis killed her first, on wave-washed Dia's shores, accused by Dionysus. And then I saw Clymene, Maera and the Losa Eriphile, bribed with a golden necklace to lure her lawful husband to his death. But the whole cortege I never tallied, never named, not all the daughters and wives of great men I saw there. Long before that, the God-sent night would ebb away, and the time had come for sleep, either with friends abroad, your shift slip, or here your own house. My passage home will rest with the gods and you. Odysseus paused. They all fell silent, hushed, his story holding them spellbound down the shadowed halls, till the white-armed queen Arete suddenly burst out. Phaeacians, how does this man impress you now? His looks, his build, the balanced mind inside of him? The stranger is my guest, but each of you princes shared the honor here. So let's not be too hasty and send him on his way, and don't scrimp on his gifts. His need is great. Great as the riches piled in your houses, thanks to the gods' goodwill. Following her, the old, revered Aeneas added his support, the eldest lord of the islands of Phaeacia. Friends, the words of our considerate queen, they never miss the mark or fail the expectations. So do as Arete says. Thou on Alcinous here, depend all words and actions. And so it will be. Alcinous stepped in grandly. Sure as I am alive, and rule our island men who love their oars. Our guests, much as is long for passage home, must stay and wait out here till tomorrow, till I can collect his whole array of parting gifts. His send-off rests with every noble here, but with me most of all. I hold the reins of power in this realm. Odysseus, deft and tactful, echoed back. Alcinous, majesty, shining among your island people, if you would urge me now to stay here 1 whole year, then speed me home weighed down with lordly gifts, I'd gladly have it so. Better by far that way. The fuller my arms on landing there at home, the more respected, well received I'd be, by all who saw me sailing back to Ithaca. Ah, Odysseus, Alcinous replied, one look at you and we know that you are no one who would cheat us. You're no fraud, such as the dark soil breeds and spreads across the face of the earth these days. Crowds of vagabonds frame their lies so tightly none could test them. But you, what grace you give your words, and what good sense within. You have told your story with all a singer's skill, the miseries you endured, your great Achaeans too. But come now, tell me truly, your godlike comrades, did you see any heroes down in the house of death? Any who sailed with you and met their doom in Troy? The night's still young, I'd say, and the night is endless. For us in the palace now, it's hardly time to sleep. Keep telling us your adventures. They are wonderful, and I could hold out here till dawn's first light. If only you could bear, here in our halls, to tell us a tale, all the pains you suffered. So the man of countless exploits carried on. Alcinous, majesty, shining among your island people, there is a time for many words, a time for sleep as well. But if you insist on hearing more, I'd never stint on telling you my own tale, and those more painful still, the griefs of my comrades, dead in the war's wake, who escaped the battle cries of Trojan armies, only to die in blood at journey's end, thanks to the vicious woman's will. Now then, no sooner than Queen Persephone driven off the ghosts of lovely women, scattered left and right, therefore had marched the shade of Atreus' son Agamemnon, fraught with grief and flanked by all his comrades, troops of his men-at-arms who died beside him, who met their fate in Lord Aegisthus' halls. He knew me at once, as soon as he drank the blood, and wailed out shrilly, tears straying from his ears. He thrust his arms toward me, keen to embrace me there. No use. The great force was gone. The strength was lost forever now, that filled his rippling limbs in the old days. I wept at the sight. My heart went out for the man, my words too, in a winging flight of pity. Famous Atrides, lord of men of Agamemnon, what fatal stroke of destiny brought you down? Wrecked in the ships when Lord Poseidon roused some punishing blast of storm winds, gust on gust? Or did the ranks of enemies mow you down and land you as you tried to raid and cut their herds and flocks, or fought to win their city and take their women? The field marshal's ghost replied at once, Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, mastermind of war, I was not wrecked in the ships when Lord Poseidon roused some punishing blast of storm winds, gust on gust, nor did ranks of enemies mow me down on land. Aegisthus hatched my doom and my destruction. He killed me. He with my own accursed wife. He invited me to his palace, sat me down to feast, then he cut me down as a man cuts down with some ox at the trough. So I died, a wretched ignominious death, and round me all my comrades were killed, no mercy. one after another, just like white-tusked boars, butchered in some rich lord's power's halls, for a wedding banquet of groaning public feast. You in your day have witnessed hundreds slaughtered, killed in a single combat, killed in a pitched battle. True, but if you laid eyes on this, it would have wrenched your heart. Have we sprawled by the mixing bowl and loading tables there, throughout the palace, the whole floor awash with blood? But the death cry of Cassandra, Priam's daughter, the most pitiful thing I heard. My treacherous queen Clytemnestra killed her over my body. Yes, and I, lifting my fists, beat them down to the ground, dying, writhing around the sword. But she, that whore, she turned her back on me. Well on my way to death, she even lacked the heart to seal my eyes with her hand or close my jaws. So, there's nothing more deadly, bestial than a woman set on works like these. What a monstrous thing she plotted. Slaughtered her own lawful husband. Why, I expected at least some welcome home for all my children, all my household slaves when I came from sailing back again. But she, the queen hell-bent on outrage, bathes in shame, not only for herself, but the whole breed of womankind, even the honest ones to come, forever downs. So he declared, and I cried out, "How terrible! Zeus, from the very start, the Thunder King has hated the race of Atreus with a vengeance. His trustiest weapon, women's twisted wiles. What armies of us died for the sake of Helen? Clytemnestra schemed your death while you were worlds away." True, true. Agamemnon's ghost kept pressing on. So even your own wife, never indulge her too far. Never reveal the whole truth. Whatever you may know, just tell part of it. Be sure to hide the rest. Not that you, Odysseus, will be murdered by your wife. She's much too steady. Her feelings run too deep. Achilles' daughter, Penelope, that wise woman. She was a young bride, I well remember. We left her behind when we went off to war. With an infant boy she nestled at her breast. That boy must serve and be counted with the men now. Happy man. His beloved father will come sailing home and see his son, and he will embrace his father. That is only right. But my wife, she never even let me feast my eyes on my own son. She killed me first. His father. I tell you this, bear it in mind, you must. When you reach your homeland, steer your ship into port in secret, never out in the open. The time of trusting women has gone forever. Enough. Come. Tell me this, and be precise. Have you heard news of my son? Where is he living now? Perhaps in Ochomenus? Perhaps in sandy Pylos? Or off in the Spartan plains of Menelaus? He's not dead yet. My prince Orestes know. He's somewhere on the earth. And so he probed, but I cut it short. Atreides, why ask me that? I know nothing, whether he's dead or alive. It's wrong to lead you on with idle words. So we stood there, trading heart-sick stories, deep in grief as the tears streamed down our faces. But now there came the ghost of Peleus' son, Achilles. Patroclus, fearless Antilochus, and the great Ajax too. The first in stature, first in build and bearing, of all the Argives after Peleus' matchless son. The ghost of the splendid runner knew me at once, and hailed me with a flight of mournful questions. Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus, man of tactics, reckless friend, what next? What greater feat can the cunning head contrive? What daring brought you down to the house of death, where the scentless, burnt-out wraiths of mortals make their home? The voice of his spirit paused, and I was quick to answer. Achilles, son of Peleus, greatest of the Achaeans. I had to consult with Tiresias, driven here by hopes he would help me journey to the rocky Ithaca. Never yet have I neared Achaea, never once set foot on native ground. My life is endless trouble. But you, Achilles, there's not a man in the world more blessed than you. There never has been, never will be one. Time was, when you were alive, we Argives honored you as a god, and now down here I see you lord it over the dead in all your power. So grieve no more at dying, my great Achilles. I reassured the ghost, but he broke out, protesting. No, winning words about death to me, shining Odysseus. By God, I'd rather slave on earth for another man, some dirt-poor tenant farmer who scrapes to keep alive, than rule down here over these breathless dead. But come, tell me the news about my gallant son. Did he make his way to the wars? Did the boy become a champion, yes or no? Tell me of the noble Peleus. Any word you've heard, still holding pride of place among Meridian's hordes? Or do they despise the man of Hellas and in Pythia because old age has lamed his arms and legs? For I no longer stand in the light of day, the man I was, comrade in arms, to help my father, as once I helped our armies, killing our best fighters. Troy could feel the wide world up there. Oh, to arrive at father's house, the man I was, for one brief day. I'd make my fury and my hands, invincible hands, a thing of terror to all those men who abuse the king with force and wrest away his honor. So he grieved, but I tried to lend him heart. About noble Peleus I can tell you nothing, and about your own dear son, Neoptolemus, I can report the whole story, as you wish. I myself, in my trim ship, I brought him, out of Skyros to join the Argives under arms, and dug in around Troy, debating the battle tactics. He always spoke up first, and always on the mark. Godlike Nestor and I alone excelled the boy. Yes, and when our armies fought in the plain of Troy, he never hung back with the force of men. He'd always charge ahead, giving ground to no one in his fury, and scores of men he killed in bloody combat. How could I list them all, name them all now? The fighting ranks he leveled, battling for the Argives. And what a soldier he laid low with a bronze sword, the Eurypylus, Telephaeus' son, and round him troops of his own Cretan comrades slaughtered, lured to the war by the bribe of his mother's look. The only man I saw put Eurypylus in the shade was Memnon, son of the morning. Again, when our champions climb inside their house that Epeus built with labor, I held full command to spring our packed ambush open and keep it sealed. Our lords and captains were wiping out their tears, near shaken beneath each man, but not your son. Never once did I see his glowing skin go pale. He never flicked a tear from his cheek. No, he kept on begging me to let him burst from the horse, keep gripping his hilted sword, his heavy bronze-tipped javelin, keen to loose his fighting fury on the Trojans. Then, once we had sacked King Priam's craggy city, laden with his fair share and princely prize, he boarded his own ship, his body all unscarred, not a wound from a flying spear or a sharp sword cut or thrust close up. The common marks of war, random raging Ares plays no favorites. So I said, and he went, the ghost of the great runner, Achaeus' grandson, loping with long strides across the fields of Asphodel, triumphant in all that I had told him his son, his gallant, glorious son. Now the rest of the ghosts, the dead and gone, came swarming up around me, deep in sorrow there, each asking about the grief that touched him most. Only the ghost of great Ajax, son of Telamon, kept his distance, blazing with anger at me still for the victory I had won by the ships that time. I pressed my claim for the arms of Prince Achilles. His queenly mother had set him up as prizes. Pallas and Captain Trojans served as judges. Would to God I'd never won such trophies. All for them the earth closed over Ajax, that proud hero Ajax, greatest in build, greatest in works of war, of all the Argives after Peleus' matchless son. I cried out to him now, I tried to win him over. Ajax, son of Telamon, still determined even in death not at once to forget that rage. You train on me for those accursed arms? The gods set up the prize to plague the Achaeans. So great the tower of strength we lost when you went down. For your death we grieved, as we did for Achilles' death. We grieved incessantly, true, and none to blame but Zeus, who hated Achaea's fighting spearmen so intensely. Zeus sealed your doom. Come closer, king, listen to my story. Conquer your rage, your blazing, headstrong pride. So I cried out, but Ajax answered not a word. He stalked down off toward Erebus into the dark to join the other lost departed dead. Yet now, despite his anger, he might have spoken to me, or I to him, but the heart inside me stirred with some desire to see the ghosts of the others dead and gone. And I saw Minos there, illustrious son of Zeus, firmly enthroned, holding his golden scepter, judging all the dead, some on their feet, some seated, all clustering around the king of justice, pleading for his verdicts, reached in the house of death with an all-embracing gates. I next caught sight of Orion, the huge hunter, but rounding up the fields of Asphodel, those wild beasts the man in life cut down on the lonely mountain slopes, brandishing in his hands the bronze-studded club that time can never shatter. I saw Tydeus, too, son of the mighty goddess Earth, sprawling there in the ground, spread over 9 acres, 2 vultures hunched on either side of him, digging into his liver, breaking deep into the blood sac and he with his frantic hands could never beat them off, for he had once dragged off the famous consort of Zeus in all her glory, Leto, threading her way toward Pythos' ridge over the lovely dancing rings of Panopeus. And I saw Tantalus too, bearing endless torture. He stood erect in a pool of water lapped his chin. Parched, he tried to drink, but he could not reach the surface. No, time and again the old man stooped, craving a sip, and time and again the water vanished, swallowed down, laying bare the caked black earth at his feet. Some spirit drank it dry. And over his head leafy trees dangled their fruit from high aloft, pomegranates and pears and apples glowing red, succulent figs and olives swelling sleek and dark. But as soon as the old man would strain to clutch them fast, a gust would toss them up to the lowering dark clouds. And I saw Sisyphus too, bound in his own torture, grappling with monstrous boulder with both hands working, heaving, hands struggling, ledge driving. He kept on thrusting the rock uphill toward the brink, and just as it teetered, set to topple over, time and again the immense weight of the thing would wheel it back, and the ruthless boulder would bound and tumble down to the plain again. So once again he would heave, would struggle to thrust it up, sweat drenching his body, dust swirling above his head. Next I caught a glimpse of the powerful Heracles. His ghost, the man himself, delights in the grand feast of the deathless gods on high. Wed to Hebe, famed for her lithe, alluring ankles, the daughter of the mighty Zeus and Hera shod in gold. Around him cries of the dead rang out like the cries of birds, scattering left and right in horror as he came like the night, naked bow in his grip, an arrow grooved in the bowstring, glaring round the fiercely forever poised to shoot. A terror, too, that sword belt sweeping across his chest, a baldric of solid gold emblazoned with awesome work, bears and rampling boars and lions with wild fiery eyes, and wars and routs and battles and massacres and butchered men. May the craftsman who forged that masterpiece, whose skills could conjure up a belt like that, never forge another. Heracles knew me at once, at first glance, and hailed me with a winging burst of pity. Royal son of Laertes, Odysseus is famed for exploits. Luckless man, you too? Braving out a fate as harsh as the fate I bore, alive in the light of day? Son of Zeus that I was, my torments never ended, forced to slave for a man not half the man I was. He saddled me with the worst heartbreaking labors. Why, he sent me down here once to retrieve the hound that guards the dead. No harder task for me, he thought, but I dragged the great beast up from the underworld to the earth, and Hermes, the gleaming-eyed Athena, blazed the way. With that he turned, and back he went to the house of death. But I held fast in place, hoping that others might still come. Shades of famous heroes, men who died in the old days, and ghosts of even older age that I longed to see. Theseus and Tiresias, and the gods' own radiant sons. But before I could, the dead came surging around me, hordes of them, thousands raising unearthly cries, and blanching terror gripped me. Panicked now that Queen Persephone might send up from death some monstrous head, some Gorgon staring face, I rushed back to my ship, commanded all hands to take the decks, and cast off cables quickly. They swung aboard at once and sat on the oars in ranks, and a strong tide of the ocean river swept her on downstream, sped by our rowing first, then by fresh fair wind.